Welcome everyone, especially Bindaji. Thank you for doing this Upanishad with us. I think we're in a very special place with it, and very grateful that you're taking us through this in the way that you do, which is very unusual depth with your insights on these works. We're in our 10th class on this Upanishad, and replays for it and others are available here and also at Bindaji's YouTube channel. That's called Advaitic Talks, ending with an I and a C, Advaitic Talks. And I've noticed, Bindaji, that you're putting the classes up pretty quickly there. So if that's a more convenient way for people to listen, they're available there. Thank you also to Prakash for being a moderator in this house. Very, very much appreciated, and appreciated the way you often start our Q&A with some of your thoughts that really are benefiting all of us. So I think we're privileged to have you here. Okay, well, thank you everyone for being here, and please do think to bring your thoughts and so forth up at the end. Bindaji?
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash. Welcome all. Namaste and Hari Om. Namo Brahma Dibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vibhakine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahma Vidapnoti Param Tadeshabhyukta Satyam Jnanamanantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman Sosnute Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipaschiteti Tasmat Vaye Tasmat Atmana Akashas Sambhudaha Akashat Vayuhu Vayoragnihi Agneirapaha Adhya Prithivi Prithivya Aushadayaha Aushadebhyonnam Annat Purushaha Sava Yesha Purushonnarasamayaha Tasyedame Vashiraha Ayam Dakshinah Pakshaha Ayam Uttarah Pakshaha Ayam Atma Idam Pucham Pratishta Tadapyesha Sloko Bhavati. So, continuing from what we went through or studied in the last session, we were given the example of the 10th man, Dashamattumasi. That example, Sankhya Purana, for the counting to be completed, 10th person was missing, and when it was told to the 10th person, he understands the 10th as himself. Atma, that is, I am Aham Dashamaha. Asmi, I am Dashama. Asmi means I am the 10th person. Same way, when the Upanishad says Tadattvamasi, that here it is Sat. Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asit is how the shloka, the mantra started in the Chandogya Upanishad. So Tat is referring to Sat, the Sateva Saumya. So Tat Tvamasi means Tat Sat Tvamasi. So Sat there is standing for the nature of Brahman as Sat. Now in this Upanishad, it is mentioned as Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. So there are additional Jnanam and Anandam added here. So how are they going to be related, or how is it going to be understood? We have to see it in the following commentaries. So the last statement in the previous section was Tasya evam avidyeya anapta brahma swarupasya prakrita sankhya puranasya atmanaha avidyaya anaptasya satah केनचित् स्मारितस्य पुनस्तस्यैव विद्यया आप्तिर्यदा तदा श्रुत्युपदिष्टस्य सर्वात्मब्रह्मणः आत्मत्वदर्शनेन विद्यया तदाप्तिः उपपद्यते एव. So here, how do we understand the whole thing? Avidya, due to the ignorance, tasya evam, of himself, anapta brahma surupasya, unattainable or unreachable, the swarupa of Brahman, by the one who is listening from the Shruti, that when it is told that you are the Brahman or you are the Atman, the anapta brahma surupasya. Here is what the avidya is the reason why Brahma Swarupa is remaining anapta or unattainable. We know that Ajnana Samshaya Viparya, the ignorance about the nature of Brahman, the doubt, how can I be the limited individual, be the one which is being mentioned as Brihat or Mahat or Mahattama, the largest, how can I be that? And Samshaya Viparya is that when it is said that Brahma, the moment Mahattama, we have an understanding that the largest which we know as Mahat is the space. So are we being told that I am the space? This type of avidya is the reason why the Brahma Swarupa remains unattainable to the one who is listening. Prakrita Sankhya Puranasya Atmanaha Yatha, that is Yatha Prakrita Sankhya Puranasya Atmanaha Avidyaya Anaptasya Sataha Kenachit Smaritasya Punaha Tasyaiva Vidyaya Aptir. That is, when Sankhya Puranam, when it is to be counted completely for the 10th person, Atmanaha, about himself, Avidyaya Anaptasya, due to the ignorance for a momentary, delusion or ignorance which has happened in the 10th person, to forget to count himself, Sataha, even though he was existing there, Kenachit Smaritasya, when it was reminded by somebody that you are the 10th person, Punas Tasyaiva, again himself, Vidyaya Aptir, by getting the delusion removed, he attains the 10th status himself. So here what we have to understand that is that it was not the 10th person was not available. All the time he was the 10th person. But he forgot himself to be the 10th person. When it was being reminded to him, you are the 10th by somebody else, he, having been present there, when not apprehending himself, now apprehends himself as Vidyaya by removing the ignorance when by the statement by somebody that you are the 10th one, he attains that status of the 10th person. He was 10th before, he forgot himself to count himself. So, when he was reminded, you are the 10th person, he attains the status of the 10th person when the ignorance was removed. Tada, in the same way, Shruti Upatishtasya, when the Shruti means Upanishad, Upadishtasya, on the advice of the Shruti, Sarvatma Brahmanaha, when the Upanishad says that Brahma is Sarvatma, that Atmatvena, that is the time when the Shruti says that Sarvatma, this Brahman is Sarvatma, means there is, because it is Mahattamam, it is the largest, or it is the one which can encompass everything. So it is inclusive of everything, including you. That is what the way in which the Shruti is telling. Tattvamasi is being told in that only. Why is that? Vacharampadam vigaro namadeyam mrittigateva satyam. It is only by the names and forms, the dependency on the names and forms, you are now calling him, he, she, it, that, everything like that. But they are all nothing but sataha, in existence, which is the nature of Brahman. So you cannot count yourself out from that sataha, from that sat. Tad mattvamasi, when it is being told. So you have to understand that makes you part of the Sarvatma, which becomes the Brahman. So you are that way, count yourself as part of Brahman, or you are verily indeed made out of Brahman only. That Atmatvena Darshanena, by Darshanena means by the knowledge, Atmatvam, as himself. Here Atma means the self, in self. Vidyaya tad aptihi, by the ignorance when it is being removed by the Shrutivakya, that knowledge that I am now indeed the Brahman, because Brahman is Sarvatma. That way we should be able to grasp ourselves as Brahman. Tada aptihi upavadyeda. That is how the attainment should be understood. Not the way that you are going and reach somewhere, or you are doing some activity, karma, upasana, all these things will make you Brahman, which you are not now. No, it is not that way. You are verily Brahman this very moment. But we associate ourselves with the Deha, with the mind, with the intellect, and we have the ego. And the ego, all those things are segregating us from the knowing Brahman. And those are all product of avidya. Because I can objectify everything of that body right from this thing. That is why in this Upanishad it takes up Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, all those koshas, means sheets, which we are made of. So when it is being negated one by one by objectification, what is being objectified cannot be the subject. So Atmatva Darshana, the knowledge of one's nature, who am I, that becomes clear Vidyaya by the knowledge, right knowledge. That time, tad aptihi, we have the attainment of the knowledge. Here is the importance of that. Atma darshanena vidyaya apti. It is the knowing by knowledge. It is not that we are becoming Brahmatjnanis or Atmatjnanis or anything. Our confirmation and our very, doubtless conviction that yes, the logic and my anubhava is matching with what the Upanishad is saying. That logic and my experience is that I am the knowledge, I am the awareness, I am the consciousness, and which is being perceived as separate now as associated with the mind and intellect. I can objectify my mind and intellect, therefore I have not to be identified myself as the intellect, knowledge in the intellect or knowledge in the mind. They are all vrittis. They are all functions of thoughts. They are after effects of the knowledge when it tickles the mind, or knowledge when it enlightens the mind or the intellect. That vidya, atmatva darshanam happens. That is the time when we realize that aham brahmasmi. Now this is the very important paragraph which we need to remember and, make it our own. Don't listen to Brahman, Atman as something other than you. When the word Brahman and Atman is being heard, you should identify it being told as the Upanishad or the teacher is addressing you, not the physical body or the name which you are associating with yourself as XYZ. No. So if we want to know our nature, our Swarupa, and that Swarupa is Atma Swarupa, Brahma Swarupa, we have to learn the Upanishad as it is being addressed to us as who we are, and not as a subject to be learned as physics, chemistry or philosophy or any other subject. This is the very important aspect, because we are going to a very difficult, comprehension-wise, toughest part of the Upanishad Bhashya of Shankaracharya, which if you can understand in the first instance, the job is done. If you look at that as an objectifying, as a knowledge or a philosophy to be learned, you will never learn it. You will never get it. It will remain as a subject to be learned. So please address this as being addressed to yourself. The Upanishad is talking to you directly. So the next paragraph starts with this. Brahmavid apnoti param iti vakyam sutrabodham sarvasya valyartasya. So Shankaracharya says that this sentence, Brahmavid apnoti param iti vakyam, this statement that Brahmavid apnoti param is sutrabodham, is in the form of a sutra, like any other Brahma Sutra or the Jaimini Sutra or any other Sutra, Paniniya Sutra. Sutram, Suchana Trayate iti Sutram. By indicating, you are being taken into the meaning of that word, that experience of the sentence. That is why Suchana Trayate iti Sutram. So, Sutra Bodham Sarvasya Valyartasya. The entire Valli, in the Brahmananda Valli, what is going to be discussed has been capsuled and given in one sentence in the beginning by the Upanishad as Brahmavid apnoti param. That means if you know Brahman as being explained in the Brahmananda Valli by the subsequent sentences, you will apnoti param. You will know that you are Brahman. This knowledge is mandatory, bound to happen, and there is no hidden agenda or nothing secretive about it. If you want to understand it, you have to keep your mind from taking references to the past data or anything you have learned or heard from somebody else. Shankaracharya's statements itself is so revealing. A person who listens to that should be able to have the understanding, knowledge and anubhuti of Brahman in this state, in this Valli. So Brahma vidapnoti param ityanena vakyena vedyataya सूत्रस्य ब्रह्मणः निर्धारितस्वरूपविशेषस्य सर्वतः व्यावृत्तस्वरूपविशेषसमर्पणसामर्थ्यस्य लक्षणस्य अभिधानेन स्वरूपनिर्धारणाय अविशेषेण च उक्तवेदनस्य ब्रह्मणः वक्ष्यमाणलक्षणस्य विशेषणप्रत्यगात्मतया अन्यन्यरूपेण विज्ञेयत्वाय ब्रह्मविद्याफलं च ब्रह्मविदो यत् परप्राप्तिलक्षणमुक्तं स सर्वात्मभावः सर्वसंसारधर्मातीत ब्रह्मस्वरूपत्वेन एव न अन्यत् इत्येतत् प्रदर्शनाय च एषा ऋग् उदाह्रियते तेषाभ्युक्तेति. So, the word teshabhyukteti is the second sentence. What is that sentence indicating? See, the word by word meaning teshabhyukta, tesha, tad, esha is, tad means that Brahman, about that, esha, the following, abhyukta is being said or is being revealed or is being narrated, is the sentence. So, Brahmavid apnoti param, the knower of Brahman, the Supreme, he attains. That Brahman, Esha Bhyukta, is being narrated in the following pattern or in the following way. Is what the sentence is. But the Tesha Bhyukta, the Tad Esha Abhyukta, how that sentence is to be understood is the long sentence which he wrote. Brahmavid apnoti param ityanena vakyena. The statement which was mentioned earlier, the Brahmavid apnoti param, veditaya sutritasya brahmanaha nirtarita swarupa visheshasya. That is, vedyataya, by knowing or by means of knowing, sutritasya, by capsulized statement of Brahmavid apnoti param, Brahmanaha, of Brahman, nirdarita swarupa visheshasya. Nirdarita swarupa visheshasya. Swarupa visheshasya. That is, the swarupa vishesha means the adjective of the swarupa of Brahman. Nirdarita. Nirdarita means segregating. Now, here is the word nirdarita is very important. We all know what is segregation. Suppose there are a group of students or children standing there, and if I am saying that the tall boy with a red hat and a blue shirt is Mr. X, or the name of the boy. Now, among the boys, now I have to look for who is tall. Suppose there are 5 tall boys. Then I have to segregate from the 5 one of them with a red hat. So there are 2 people with red hat. So I have to segregate one out of them again. So the blue shirt, the other person is not having a blue shirt. So that way when I segregate one, that is why Nirdarita Swarupa Visheshasya. By segregating the Swarupa Vishesha, the adjective of the Swarupa, when it is being mentioned Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, 3 words are being used. Like tall, a red hat and a blue shirt. Like the 3. Here, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. But is it the 3 as separately different? No, we will come to that later. Brahmana Visheshasya. It is the adjective of one boy. That is, he is tall, he has a blue hat, a blue shirt, and he has a red cap. So all the three are indicating only one person. But when the mix-up is taking place between the other things, we will be confused. For example, when Brahman is Mahat or the Brihattama, Valli is the largest we are saying, we have to take it separate from the Sajadiya and Vijadiya. In the similar category and the separate category, segregations in the other categories. How do we do that? Now, for example, sky is Mahattama. We know the sky is also very large. If you look at space as sky, the space inside a room, we don't consider it as sky. What we see in the horizon only we consider as sky. So space, if we take it, then space is also large. Then there is something called time. We know there is no end, beginning of time, there is no end of time. So that is also infinite in nature. So Mahattama, when I am saying, there is a category of things which can be misunderstood as the largest. So this way, when we know that this has to be segregated, it has to be understood with Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. And what is Satyam, what is Jnanam and what is Anandam, we will learn in the process. But what here Acharya wants us to know is that the Swarupa of Satya, Jnanam, Anandam are Visheshas or the adjectives of Swarupa, nature of Brahmanaha, of Brahman, for segregation it from the similar one. Sarvataha, from everything else. Vyavritta, encompassing or complete in the group of Swarupa Vishesha Samarpana Samartasya. So Samarthyam is the eligibility. Vishesha Samarpanasya. These adjectives can be attributed to other things which is Vyavritta Swarupasya, which are being encompassed, the similar Swarupas are being seen if we say Anandam. That means space is Anandam, sky is Anandam, time is Anandam. So where do we bring it? So Vyavritta Swarupa Vishesha Samarpana Samartasya, in the group where this is applicable, Lakshanasya Abhidanena. By giving the Lakshanas, Abhidanena, by understanding that Swarupa Nirdharanaya, the Swarupa of Brahman has to be now segregated from the similar ones. Avisheshenacha, by Vishesha and Avisheshena, which is both ways we have to think. Ukta Vedanasya, Brahmanaha, Vakshyamana Lakshanasya. Now, Ukta Vedanasya, what are all being mentioned about of Brahman, Vakshyamana Lakshanasya, what is going to be narrated in the following part of the Upanishad, Visheshena Pratyagatmataya Ananya Rupena Vitneyatvaya. That is the most important aspect which will help us to understand what is Brahman. Visheshana, the adjectives which are being used, has to be understood how? Pratyagatmataya. It is about your very self. Atma means self. Pratyagatma means very self of the individual who is listening that. And Ananya Rupena, it should not be mixed up with something else. But as Ananya from everything. Make it very clear. One is that you have to understand it as our own nature. And Ananyatvena, Ananya Rupena, we cannot have any form of Anyatvam in any of the things which we are identifying. Then only it will become Brihat or Brihattamam or Brahman. So, we have now look at the Visheshana Satya Jnanam Anantam as Pratyagatmataya, as our own nature, also Ananyataya. There is nothing outside it. So when this is where we will be able to cross our limitation of the individuality. When you have the Pratyagatma knowledge and that Pratyagatma is Ananya from the rest of the world or rest of the known things or the rest of the things under Brahman, which is being that. All the Nama Rupa. But if you are taking it as a Nama Rupa, we will all be getting confused because mind has the capacity to objectify and objectification needs what is called name and form. Then how do you do it as Ananya Rupena? How we have to understand that is very important. That can happen only when you first know Pratyagatmadaya. This definitions of Satyajnanam Anandam, how it is applicable to me and my Atma, Pratyagatma, not what I consider myself to be me, the ego, the mind, the intellect, the physical body and etc. or how am I known to the world outside or no. How I feel that I am, not the way others see me or others call me, others address me or others give a identity to me. No, the way in which I know myself when I am neither the mind nor the body nor the ego nor the way in which others are identifying me, but I have a way of knowing myself without all these things. That is what is Pratyagatma. That Pratyagatma also has to be Ananya from everything what is coming under Brahman. That is one when it is called Sarvatma Bhava. Prakash was asking how it is to be understood in the last class. I purposefully did not get into the detail because I knew this is coming up and I need to explain it in this manner. Then only it will become clear. So, Pratyagatmataya Ananya Rupena Vitneyatvam means to be known. For the purpose of to be known, we have to use the Visheshana. Brahma Vidya Phalam cha Brahma Vidaha Yat Paraprapti Lakshana Muktam. So, Brahma Vidya Phalam, not only that when we know that Visheshana Pratyagatmataya Ananya Rupayana, when we know that, we should also have the Vidya Phalam, that Brahma Vidapnoti Param, that Yat Para Prapti Lakshanam. That Paraprapti is also a Lakshanam of the knowledge which we attain. It is that how will we know ourselves as the Brahman or the Param? Param here means Mahattamam or the largest or the biggest or the Brahman. What is the word? How will we know that as a Vidya Phalam? How that knowledge will result in my being that Brahman is Paraprapti Lakshanam. This Lakshana should be now not seen as a adjective or a qualification for something else. It is the adjective and qualification of very my being. I am that. That is the Lakshana with which I will know Pratyagatmadaya Ananya Rupena. I will know it as my own nature and non-separable from anything that is known as Brahman. Sarvatma Bhava. That Sarvatma Bhava. And how is the Sarvatma Bhava? Samsara Dharma Atita Brahma Swarupa. It is a compound word which need to be very clearly understood. Sarva, everything that can be known and unknown. Then only it becomes sarva. What is known alone doesn't become sarva. It is only part. But if you include what is known and unknown, it becomes sarva. Samsara dharma. Samsarasya dharma, samsara dharma. The qualities of samsara or transaction. Where does the qualities of samsara take in? All my knowledge other than myself is in transaction. My knowing myself can never be a transaction. Everything else falls under the term of samsara or transaction. Knowing my mind onwards to knowing anything, not knowing in my mind to not knowing anything outside, all both known and unknown, all under transaction. And they are all transaction is in the dharma of the samsara. That is why it is called samsara dharma. So sarva samsara dharma means other than my own very nature, everything else is now become sarva samsara dharma. Advaita, above that. So sarva dharma samsara dharma advaita. So the only one which will be left out without the samsara dharma will be swarupa, my own swarupa, pratyagatmadaya ananya rupena. That is what is now known as sarvatma bhava or brahma swarupatvam. Bhava means bhava, to this nature. That brahma swarupatvam is what? Sarva samsara dharma adida brahma swarupatvam eva sarvatma bhavaha sa vijnaya, by knowing as vidyaphalam, brahma vidyaphalam, as the result of knowing Brahman, brahmavid, brahmaiva bhavati, that yet parat prapti lakshanam. That is the word or the indication word by brahmavid apnodi param is a lakshana vakya, becomes for our intuitive self-apprehension of who we are. Na anyat, not anything else. If you have anything else other than that in your apprehension, then you have not got what the Upanishad is wanting to tell you. The moment, even if it is become a knowledge to be acquired, it becomes anyat or separate from that knowledge of Brahman. That knowledge of Brahmavid is the knowledge about myself or ourself. That pratyakatmataya, that very nature of myself, or what I call as my essence of my being. That is the word, the na anyat, when it has to indicating to. Ityedat pradarsanaya, to show that this is how it has to be now understood, or how the esha rik udahriyate. The rik here means the mantras which are going to be following after this, which is first statement is Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma. So that rik is being told here, which is now being indicated by Tadesha Bhyukta. So what I told from Brahmavidapnoti param ityanena vakyena veditaya sutritasya brahmanaha nirtarita swarupa visheshasya, starting from that onwards, ityedat pradarsanaya cha esha rik udahriyate, when it is being told, this 3-letter word sentence, tadesha bhyukta, is giving us the lakshana vakya, Brahmavid apnodi param, has to be understood as talking about our very nature. The self, what we do not know, is now being made known to us by the lakshanas of Satya Jnanam Anandam, and that when it is known, that Brahmavid Phalam, Brahmavid Apnoti Param, he is not knowing it as something outside as Brahman or Atman outside himself. He knows it as very dear and near and aparoksha anubhuti. That is his very immediate experience. That is why Tadeshabhyukta. Tat Tasminneva. That now the Tadeshabhyukta, that word is being now broken up and being explained. Tat Tasminneva Brahmana Vakya Uktartha Esha Rik Abhyukta Amnata. That means Tasmin tat, that word Tadesha Abhyukta is Tad Esha Abhyukta. So the word Tad is Tasminneva Brahmana Vakya Uktartha. That Vakyam or the statement where Brahmavid Apnodi, Tasminneva means that statement, in that statement, Brahmana Vakya Uktartha, that the word which is used as Brahma in the Brahma with Apnoti Param, Uktartha, the meaning which has been told in that Lakshana Vakya. Esha Rik, this Rik, which is Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma, Abhyukta Amnata. Amnata means is explained or said. Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma iti Brahmanoho Lakshanartham Vakyam. That is the Rik which is being told. Satyam Jnanam Anandam. The three words. And the three words are in the same Vibhakti. Vibhakti means same case. The first case, singular. Satyam means Satyam. Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anandam Brahma. These three are adjectives of Brahma. Satya Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Iti Brahmanaha Lakshanartham Vakyam. Now Lakshanartham I explained in the first class in this series. It is both Samanya Lakshanam, which is the Tadastha Lakshanam, and Swarupa Lakshanam is the very nature of it. So here he is not bifurcating them into two separately. He will do it that later in the explanations. But he is saying that here it is a Lakshanartham Vakyam for the word Brahma, which is Satyam Jnanam Anandam. Satyadini means Satyam Jnanam Anandam Adini. He indeed Trini Visheshanarthani Padani. Visheshasya Brahmanaha. Trini means threesome. Visheshanarthani, with specific meanings of adjectiveness in them. But they are nouns also. Say nouns itself becomes an adjective. For example, if I am saying Rama, the word Rama can be so many Ramas are there in this world. Then I say Rama is a Pullinga. That makes Rama as a what you call as a male gender. The male means it can be in animals, it can be in birds, it can be in all living beings. So, is it referring to animal? It is referring to my horse, to my cow, to my dog, my bird. What is it? Manushyaha. So when it is saying that human being. Oh, so as a human being, Rama means there are many Ramas who are human beings. No. He is Dasharatha's putra. He is the son of Dasharatha. Oh, he is son of Dasharatha. So there is Dasharatha Putra means Dasharatha has 4 sons. There are Kaikeyi has one, Kaushalya has one, then Sumitra has 2. So there are 4 sons. So 4 sons, out of that, one of them is Ram. But how do I know which one is Ram? Sita Pati. Oh, the one who got married to Sita. Oh, so he married Sita after he went for the yaga with Vishwamitra, and then got married. No, Ayodhyapati, Sitapati. That are the 2 word adjectives which is being given. Oh, Dasharathasya Putra, Ayodhyapati, Sitapati. So he is Ayodhyapati means it is not Rama who came back after the marriage of Sita from the Vishwamitra. Because he had not become Ayodhyapati at that time. He had not been crowned as a king. Oh, he has become Ayodhyapati means he has fought the war with Ravana and got back Sita, and after having come and has crowned as king of Ayodhya, you are referring to Rama at that time. Oh, that Rama who was crowned as Ayodhya king, who was married to Sita, who is the son of Dasharatha, who is a human being, one of the 4 sons, and like that, when it is being given the Vishesha, the tendency for us to shortlist, segregate is very easy. So here, Satyadini Trini Visheshanarthani. We have got 3 words here, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. Padani, Brahmanasya Visheshyasya. They are all the 3 are for one Brahman as Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. Ataha, Asmat, Visheshana Visheshyatva Visheshyatvad eva Asmad Visheshana Visheshyatvad eva Satyadini Eka Vibhaktiyantani Padani Samanadikaranani. Now here he is the most important aspect. What is saying? Ataha, therefore, Asmat Visheshana Visheshyatva. These are the 2. Visheshana Visheshya. One is the qualifier. There are 3 words which are qualifiers. Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam. And the qualified is only one, Brahma. Now how do the qualifiers and the qualified are being connected? Eka Vibhaktandani Padani Samanadikaranani. They are all in the same case and what you call the person. One singular person. First case, singular person, and Padani. There are 3 padas. If 3 padas are indicating one object, they have to be necessarily applicable to that one objector which is the qualified. Then only it can be called Samanadikaranani. Suppose if I say on a table there is a book, there is a flower vase and my spectacles. Now the tabletop is the Samanadikaranani for my book, my flower vase and my spectacle. So the one which is supporting my spectacle, if I say, it will show the tabletop. The one which is supporting the flower vase, again tabletop. The one on which the book is resting, that is again tabletop. Even though the 3 separate objects I am using it for indicating the tabletop, all the 3 are residing on the same tabletop, then I call it as Samanadikaranani. Adhikaranam means support. Samana means equal. Equally supporting the 3 statements or equally becoming the base for the three statements of Satyadini, means Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, should be working concomitantly, simultaneously, and giving rise to one objective meaning to Brahman. Then only it is becoming Ekavibhaktyandhyani Padani Samanadikaranani. So that is why this particular statement is to be understood very clearly, that Satyam is also being Brahman, Jnanam is also being Brahman, and Anandam is also being Brahman. So you should be able to now understand a Satyam which is Anandam in nature. Now we all know Satyam, truth. We know truth in one form, that this is true, that is true, like that true, the statement is true, it is true that it is existing. We have truth in many ways which we say. But we don't know that truth which is infinite in nature. And not only that, it has to be also Jnanam. Here Jnanam is not knowledge alone. It is consciousness, which has got Chaitanya. So Jnanam can be taken as Chetana, and to segregate from the Jada. So what is non-Jada, what is Satyam, and which is infinite in nature. Like, I'm just giving an example, but we will go into the details much more complicated when we go to the next class, where it is being taken up before Acharya makes us understand how does we should assimilate the three words, three words, Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. I'm just giving one aspect of it only, but it is not exactly how Acharya is going to explain it in this thing. So, Ekavibhaktyandani Padani Samanadikaranani. In the same substratum, the three words should indicate only one object. Satyadibihi, Tribihi, Visheshanaihi, Visheshya Manam Brahma, Visheshya Anderebhyaha Nirdaryate. That is, Satyadibihi Stibihi. Like the word starting from Satya, Jnanam, Anandam, Tribihi, means all the three. Visheshanaihi, the qualifiers. Visheshyamanam Brahma, the qualified Brahma. Visheshya Anderebhyaha, from the other possible Visheshyas which are coming there, can be qualified in the form of Brahma, because Satyam is, as I told you, there something can be else thought as Satyam. Anandam, we know, sky and time, etc. also Anandam. Mind is also another Anandam. So we know that there are things which is Visheshya Andara, means Anya Visheshya. The qualified, which can be qualified, are many. From that, Nirdaryate, the word Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, when applied in concomitance with the simultaneously applicable to Brahma, then only Brahma gets segregated from similar ones which can be segregated by individually the each word. So that is the purpose of the word Satyat Jnanam Anandam, is for the word Nirdarya, and it is a Lakshana. Evam hi tat jnatam bhavati. This is how, only when understood in the proper meaning and the applicability, how it has to be applied, tad jnadam bhavati. Brahma jnadam bhavati. The Brahma becomes known. Then only it becomes Brahmavit, one who knows. Yet anyebhyo nirdaritam, which has been segregated from others. So, we have to now, when I understand myself as Brahman, and anyebhyo nirdaritam, what are possible where I can be segregated from others when I am assuming Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam as my nature of my Swarupa or my nature of my Atma. When it is being segregated from me, I should also remember that it is Pratyagatma, it is my Atma, and Ananya Rupena. That is where the problem lies. It is Anyebhyo Nirdharitam. It is being segregated from rest of the ones which can be having similar adjectives. But when I have to understand of Ananya Rupena, how will I understand the Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam as my nature at the same time? It is to be segregated from which can be applicable to others, but I also should know it as my own nature and Ananya Rupena. This is the most difficult aspect of understanding Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma. Yata loke neelam mahat sugandhi utpalam iti. Now, Acharya is giving one example. Yata, just as loke, in our transactional world, neelam mahat sugandhi utpalam. Now, a person who doesn't know what is an utpalam, for him, neelam mahat sugandhi, if I tell, it will not make any sense. Now, if I say utpalam means lotus, immediately his mind will go to white lotus, red lotus, blue lotus, and lotus, small, big. I seen her here, I seen it there. So many lotus will come into his mind. So, Neelam is blueness. When I say the blue lotus, then my wide range narrows down to blue lotuses wherever I have seen. Then I say Mahat, the large one, means among the blue lotuses which I have seen, which I know, it should be the biggest one. And Sugandhi, it should be smelling nice. There may be lotus which will be blue and big, but it may not smell. It can be a plastic one, looking like lotus only. May look like a similar lotus, but it may not have any smell. So it has to have blue color, it has to be big, it has to have smell, and it has to be a lotus, and a real lotus, not an artificial one. Then only I have narrowed down my, adjectives to one object. Same way, Satya, Jnanam, Anandam, the three words, when applied to Brahman, yat anyebhyo nirdharitam. It has to be in a fashion that it is taken a state which it can be uniquely identified, separating out from others. In this fashion, when I understand Satya, Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma, I have to understand it as my own nature and Ananyatvam. There is nothing outside me, because that is the time when I know that Brahma means what and art is my nature. So the I which I have got now known as limited individual will become the Mahat, the all-encompassing Sarvatma Bhava, in that nature that I am verily everything. Sarvam Khaluidam Brahma becomes a reality and becomes an experience for us only when we know Brahman in the Satya Jnanam Anandam Rupa. We will continue this in the next week. So next Wednesday, there won't be any class, but we will continue on next Friday. But Sunday's Q&A will be continuing as usual. Okay. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ थैंक यू धन्यवाद
Thank you so much, Bindaji. And thank you for going very slowly into this and really setting the stage. And we'll just have to wait for the next class to see exactly where this goes. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Prakash. So now we have an opportunity to discuss anything that came up for us in the class today or the prior classes on this Upanishad. So anyone, going to open up the hand raising just this moment. Anyone who would like to please raise your hand and come up to discuss this with Bindaji. And remember that the replays are available on the YouTube that's in his profile and in this house after this class, so you can review. Namaste, Joy.
नमस्ते नमस्ते बिंदु जी
नमस्ते जय
बिंदु जी शुरू में ही जो पहली बात बोली है वो सबसे ज़्यादा अच्छी लगी है दैट वाज व्हाट शुड आई से दैट वाज रियली ग्रेट पहले ही बोला आपने कि दिस नॉलेज इज नॉट like a knowledge of something, right? It's a knowledge of you, and if you understand it like that, that's the only way you'll get it. Otherwise, pretty hard to get it. इसके ऊपर आप थोड़ा सा कुछ और बोलोगे कि ये बात हमें हर वक्त कैसे इतना स्पष्ट रहे, you know?
See, to make it very clear how you grasp this knowledge, even though you are attending this Upanishad for the first time, I would tell you that I don't want to jump the horse and tell exactly now in this question as answer to you, because there are step by step in which Shankaracharya has narrated that how we should do it to understand it properly. So if I tell now that, I may not be doing justice, because it has to be understood step by step. I have only made the introduction, as Atmesh has said. I'm going slow because this Upanishad, if it is understood, particularly this second chapter, one who understands it, will have no doubt about himself or herself or the nature of reality. For that purpose, Joy, I don't want to clear it now, for the very reason it is not easy. I have to run through the whole explanation which is coming up behind this, because I have not even entered the statement Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. This is only the second statement, Tadesha Bhyukta. And in that Tadesha Bhyukta, the qualifiers are Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, and for Brahma is how it is been. Now, how do we know that all the three qualifiers, Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, applicable to Brahma without contradicting one another? See, that is the most important aspect. Satyam should not contradict Jnanam, Jnanam should not contradict Anandam, or Anandam should not contradict the other two. Like that, all the three should be joining together to explain the Brahma, nature of Brahman. And when that is being explained, we have to see that as our applicability to our own knowledge as who we are. Pratyagatmataya, that is the word, is very important. Not as how we know ourselves, as the physical body or the mind or the intellect or the ego or the individuality or any of these ways in which we know ourselves now. Not that way. But we also know that apart from that, there is the I, in which I can tell I, but I don't know who at I. That is the case with everyone. We do not know who I am I. That is why when that Pratyekatmataya, when it is being told that we have to, once you know that statement where Satyam doesn't contradict Jnanam and Anandam, like that we understand all the three applicable to Brahma. And that when we apply to our understanding of ourselves, not intellectually by our knowledge that is residing in our memory or brain or anything. We have to feel that applicability to our being and Ananyataya. When we see that Pratyekatma in that form, that is only time when we can come into the knowledge of non-separatedness from the rest of the world, or the whole names and forms, both known and unknown, will be clear to us as what they are, as non-separable from that knowledge which I am having myself. This is how we will be proceeding in the classes further. So you will have to please wait if you want to know it fully and step by step.
बिंदु जी, what was the last sentence आपका? कुछ मेरा miss हुआ. The sentence before the last, the context of that with knowing that this is knowledge about yourself. If you pointed to something, शायद मैंने नहीं सुना.
Ananyataya, non-separation. You are not separate from anything other than, there is nothing you and separately from you something else. There is only one. Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma. That becomes our reality. That is how Ananyataya is.
And this was said in the context of ये जानने का कि ये ज्ञान हमारे बारे में, not about knowledge, right? About self-knowledge.
It is self-knowledge and self are the same. There is no separate knowledge, separate self, and separate self-knowledge. No. That is why Jnanam comes in the qualifying thing. Satyam, Jnanam. That Jnanam is for what? The Jada and Chetana. The Chetana is our reality. We are the pulsating, living being, a conscious awareness. That is how it is to be understood.
Thank you, Vintaji. Sure, I didn't know that you're going to expand, and that is perfectly fine. I was just asking you that it resonates. It's very, I mean, the importance of that, of knowing that this knowledge is not knowledge of something, but it's you. And what I was saying is just to be present to that within myself, in my being. So it wasn't really a question about, if something is going to be spoken about later or something like that. That's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Just two things before Venkat is in the chat. Joy mentioned it was hard to find this. It is hard to find it for some of us sometimes, even when I'm the one who puts it on the calendar, and it doesn't help to refresh my hallways. The easiest way is to just know that it's always 8:30 p.m. IST, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And next week we're missing one class. That's very unusual. So then anyone, just so you know, you can look for the house itself in searching houses instead of the hallway. And then if the room's already open, you'll see it there happening by itself, and you can just click on it. So I hope that helps people. You can always back channel me, if you didn't understand what I said, because we want it to be easy for people. And then also I apologize, Prakash. I usually ask you if you'd like to speak before we jump in, but I saw Joy and we hadn't seen her in a while, so I forgot for a moment. If you'd like to go ahead, we have plenty of time, and then Venkat can take all the rest of the time he wishes. Do you want to speak, Prakash?
No, I think let Venkatji go first and then I can ask.
Okay.
Please.
Namaste, Venkat.
Namaste, Hari Om. Thanks for the opportunity. Binduji, I think you directly now hit us. Knowledge is a rumor unless it gets under the skin. And it is directly getting addressed to us in here. I think we have to digest directly into us. So I'm trying to now read back what I understood. I think you want to get a validation here. This is a anirdharita swarupa visheshasya. That swarupa nirdhara is supported by Shankaracharya, Bhashya, and you nicely took us through this. Here, the pratyagatmataya, that because that knowledge of the world and knowledge of the self, both are available. That this is a vishesha jnana. That then I directly applied aparoksha, that non-sensual, intuitive self that available all the time. In this one, that ananya rupena vigneyatvaya, that means that satyam gnanam anantam apply to that aparoksha anubhuti, aparoksha, that satyam, the existence is evident. Gnanam, I exist, is a self-evident knowledge. Anantam, try to, there is no boundary to this aparoksha, the presence within. There is no boundary to it. So this, further, that samsara dharmatita brahma sarupa swameva nanyat ityeta darshanaya. That means that is anyway removing the transactional knowledge is nowhere here along, across all of this. There is a one, thing that come up was sarvatma bhava. The sarvasam, the sarvatma bhava is not, is not part of this, what we saw, pratyagatmatya. That means we have to refer back that 10th Dashama Purna. That means this has to be deciphered with the what has been, either Vyavaharika or Paramarthika, the outside knowledge or that aparoksha. Across all of this, Dashama Purna, that means it is the same Atman in all, has to be, because it has to be referred back. That's how I see it. The what is missing in the Sarvatma Bhava is to refer back to the previous Anuvaka, that the previous, Bhashya before this, that is how I'm cross-referring. I'm going to stop here. Then I can ask you the next version, the next question. Is this line of thought correct, Viduji?
Yeah, the thought is to be developed from the, pratyagatmataya ananya rupena vijnayatvaya. So it has to be understood that it is referring to our Atma. So this word, our Atma, will collapse the moment it becomes ananya rupena. Then there is no anya and myself. And that is the knowledge, vijnayatvaya. That knowledge will happen when you understand the three qualifiers, tatyam, jnanam, anandam, applicable to Brahma. And that Brahma, aham brahmasmi, when it becomes the experience of the listener, that the listener loses the separation from the rest of the world or the rest of the thing. That ananyatvam, this is the ananyatvam which Krishna also talks in the Bhagavad Gita also. That ananyatvam is the most important aspect, that when we see something other than me, dvidiyad vai bhayam bhavati. We will see it in this mantra, in this Upanishad itself. So what happens is that when we have this otherness, the otherness is in the names and forms. But when you remove the names and forms, the otherness cannot have independent, separate individuals. That is how we are being taken by this Upanishad. Okay?
Binuji, that Sarvatma Bhava, and Ananya Rupena. Those are connected, correct, Binduji?
Yeah, Sarvatma Bhava, Ananya Rupena are connected. Because Ananya Rupena only you will have the Sarvatma Bhava. Anyattum asti chet Sarvatma Bhava na bevati. I mean, if you have got another thing, then you cannot call it a Sarvatma.
Right, Binduji. I think this is connected. That's good, Binduji. This Tadesha Bhukta, now you deciphered it completely. Tasmin eva Brahma Lakshana Vakya and Uktartha. That was a good separation that was never available in, that was good. I think now it is far more clear. And it took us through the Satyadini hi trini Visheshanarthani Padani Visheshasya Brahmana. Just, I think that example of Rama was that Vishesha Artha. That was now that brings us to, I think, that Satyam Gnanam Anantam, that Vishesha Artha, that is an adjective of Brahman to be clearly separated. This is good. That Visheshana Visheshatva, this is, Samadhi Karanani. That means, it has to be equally taken. That
No, Samana Adhikarana. Samana Adhikarana.
of the Karanani. So this is Eka Vibhakta Vibhaktyantani Padani. That is, the Eka Vibhakti means, this Eka Vibhakti across, this is Eka Vibhakti for Brahman, where Satyam, Gnanam, Anantam, all three are equal. And this is the indicator here that this has to be taken in totality, that Eka Vibhaktani Padani Samadhi Karanani. This is to be in totality, we have to read it and apply it.
No. What does it mean that each one of them, Satyam, Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma, there are 4 words of it. All the 4 words are Prathama Ekavachanam.
Okay.
Prathama means case 1. And Ekavachanam means singular. Not
Direct
plural.
addressing, yeah.
Not plural. So all of them are single. The Prathama means the names and in singular, and all of them have the same. And then the 3 are not objects. Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam are not objects. They are adjectives. Even though they are names, they are adjectives. And then the only name which is there is Brahma. So it is in Brahma, you have these 3 adjectives, means all the 3 are qualifying Brahma with 3 words, but giving one essential objective knowledge of Brahman. And that when you learn it as your subjective experience, that objective knowledge becomes subjective experience of, Pratyekatmataya. That is the time when Ananya Bhavena, that when Ananya Rupena, when that becomes that, because Brahma becomes known that there is nothing outside Brahma. So everything becomes part of Brahma, no? So you become Brahma, doesn't mean the others are not Brahman. The others also will become Brahman. So in that case, what happens is that Ananya Rupam will come, and that will generate the Sarvatma Bhava, and that is the what you call the ultimate experience of Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi.
Okay, I think this is clear. I think the Nila Mahat Sugandhi Utpalam, that example, either the Vastu Gnana, the confirming the Vastu Gnana, either objective knowledge or subjective knowledge. The same method is used here in a very, very clear way to isolate and recognize and, that imbibe it. This is the method used by Shankaracharya, if I, get it correctly here.
See, we have knowledge, we have ideas. Now, let me say not knowledge. We have ideas or notions or imaginations about each of the word. What does it Satyam means? We have some imagination. Jnanam means we have some imagination. Anandam means we attribute it to some things. So all those things are having specific objects which we have in our notions. But do we have one object where all the three can be applicable equally and it can segregate from what all we know as Satyam, as Jnanam, as Anantam? They are all separate and many items. But all the three applicable to any one of them? Is there any one item in and that many which can have both all the three, Satyam and Jnanam and Anandam, applicable? No. That is why the Samanadikaranam means similarly applicable to one substratum. That is what is where I told you the example of the tabletop with a book, flower vase and the spectacles. All are being supported by the tabletop. But it can be separately told also, where the book is resting, or where the flower vase is placed, or where my spectacle is there. All of them applicable separately. But when all the three have to be seen, it means all the three should be in the one tabletop. It cannot be separate tables. The three tables are there and all of them are in three different tables. Then also the statement will be same, right? One table has got book, one other table has got flower vase, and the third table has got my spectacles. The statement that it is on the tabletop will applicable to all the three. But one tabletop has got all the three when means there cannot be three tables, there can have to be only one table. That is how the Samanadhikaranyam works.
Got it, Binduji. I think this application is very, very profound. Nice, Binduji. I think this is helping very a lot to navigate here. Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venkat. Just so that people know, because our close is soon, but we can go over for sure, but there's 3 people already waiting to speak. So I did turn hand raising off. So the people who are up here already, please take the time you need with Binduji, and don't be concerned about that. And then anyone else know that you can join us for the general Advaita Q&A on Sunday, and we can certainly even discuss things from this class again there if that's what you wish. So I just wanted people to know that everyone eventually has a way to participate. Prakash, you're very, very welcome to come in here and speak if you'd like to speak with Binduji or on the topic of today's class.
I will ask Srinivasi and Ganesh Prasadji to go forward first.
Okay, Srini.
Srini.
Yeah, namaste, Binduji.
Namaste,
I
Srini.
think, what an unbelievable session. I think this is one of those sessions where I really run out of superlatives. I think the subject is one thing, and the merciful nature in which Shankara has written the Bhashya, and the merciful nature in which you have explained in today's class, how you maintained a very slow pace, and I think the spoon feeding nature of the class, it's like, it's very like, I don't know, I just run, I can't thank you enough, Binduji. I think it's a beautiful session. I think it's such a highlight, and I think, really spoon feeding, like we are babies, and we are getting the strength. I feel I'm a baby, and you are spoon feeding, and I'm slowly getting some strength kind of feeling. It's just unbelievable, I think. So beautiful session. Thank you very much, Binduji. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Srini.
Namaste, Binduji.
Namaste, Ganesh.
Binduji, same as everybody is telling, we are feeling very, very relieved of some ignorance. A kind of elation is happening through your slow gliding us towards that ultimate truth. And the one thing I want to ask you, the question is, the 3 adjectives, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, they are applicable to the Brahman, right? And you said Samanadhikarana. In that case, I just wanted a grammatical clarification. Ultimately, when that Samanadhikarana happens, will all those adjectives become nouns when they successfully applied to Brahman? Even they become Brahman, or they also become nouns at the end?
This
The
is what is
adjectival
called.
quality would be no more. Is that it means?
No, listen. These are all being given as Lakshana Vakyas. Now, in the Lakshana Vakya, there are two ways in which they are applicable. In my first lecture to Taitareeya Upanishad, I have explained that. Where there is Tadastha Lakshana or Samanya Lakshana, what we call it as the general indicators.
Yeah.
The Satyajnanam Anandam can be taken as general indicators. That is what happens most of the cases, because we are only familiar with the word Satyajnanam Anandam in the transactional world. But when it becomes Swarupa Lakshana, we don't know our own Swarupa, our own nature or our own true self, what is the nature of it. And when it is being told that is being of Brahman, and that Brahman, when it is not separate from others, we cannot be separated out from the Brahman. But to know that, experience that, we have to understand it as there the Brahman is none other than we ourselves. And there is nothing other than Brahman, means there is no separate one outside me or for me to tell. So the individuality is lost and we become one with the only one, which is the Brahman. What happens? The adjectives becoming noun or merging with Brahman is a linguistic application. But we are not going by the linguistic part alone. We need to go into the aparokshatvam of each one of them. Means the intricate, immediate, or what you call experiential aspect of that, where I become the Satyam, I become the Jnanam, I become the Anantam. When I become Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, all the three in me, how will I see that as myself? Or how I should be taken that, understand that as me or myself? Because my knowledge of Satyam is limited to my understanding myself as a limited individual human being. I don't know Satyam other than that. Right? So we have to understand this not from the linguistic point of view, but from the point of view of experiential point of view. For that, both it has got the adjective aspect as well as noun aspect. That is why such words are being used for the Lakshana Vakya here. Otherwise, anything else could have been used, because everything is Brahman. Why did other words didn't come there? Why did these three words alone has been taken by the Upanishad? Because they are both adjective and noun at the same time.
Yes. Thank you, Binduji. Thanks. Namaste.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Prakash, are you going to speak?
Yes, namaste. Yes. So, Binduji, like Srinivasji said, this is a very profound, state of understanding in terms of resolving the paradox, right? This last class, I still had a state of a question was related. But in this class, it is like untying that knot. That's the feeling I had when I was going with your guided kind of meditation into the particular statements of Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma, then Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Simply realizing that everything is inside in Brahman. So I wanted to specifically thank you for taking us, guiding us through this beautiful session. I don't have any questions, but one thing that remains is as this class progresses, maybe I will understand more, is once that is all not anymore becoming into anything, then what is the active state of that aspect? I know this question is probably not valid, but I'm still wanting to know, is there any definition of that being of Brahman?
Well, Prakash, that definition of being cannot be said in words. It will become your experience if you follow it. That is why the two words of Pratyekatmadaya Ananyadrupena is important. I harped upon that statement, that particular two words, is because our tendency to objectify everything. Even Satyam Jnanam Anandam we objectify. But Brahman, when it is being to be understood as Pratyekatmadaya Ananyadrupena, it cannot be verbalized, it has to be experienced in your own understanding. That is where the jnanam becomes anubhava.
Yeah, thank you very much, Binduji. This session was very profound, and I will definitely listen to the replays a few times, and I hope others also get much more out of this by listening repeatedly, because there's a lot of depth in the way the simple Mahavakya, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, can be used to simply remind oneself of how one qualifies for Brahma Vidya. So thank you very much, Binduji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash.
Thank you, Prakash. That was a really good way to end the class today. And thank you again, Binduji. The going slow and being able to reflect on all of this, each of us on our own, very, very valuable. Thank you, everyone who is here. Again, we want everyone to feel welcome to speak with Binduji. The replays are available here and also on his YouTube channel called Advaita Talks. And if you have questions on today's class or this Upanishad that didn't get answered, they can come to the general Sunday Q&A right here, 8:30 p.m. IST or 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. And one special announcement is just that there will be, occasionally we've had exceptions, satsangs here and there and other things. And so just so you know, next Wednesday, we won't have the class. So we'll have the Q&A Sunday, and then we'll have the next actual class on this Upanishad will be a week from today, always at the same time. That is what I've got. Thank you everyone for being here. We're grateful to be together as a community. Binduji?
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash, Venkat, Srini, and Ganesh, and all those who have been listening. Thank you all. If possible, repeat the replay and listen to that, and be prepared for the next Wednesday, because it will be a continuation from the same tone and tenor, what will be coming in the next few classes at least. So before attending the class, if you can listen to the replay and then come, you will have the continuity and there will be a better understanding. Thank you all. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om, Good night.
Hari Om.